Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. We're going to get started in a moment here. Thanks for joining us. Just a reminder, if anyone does have any questions throughout today's presentation, just use the question mark questions tab at the top right of your GoToWebinar window. Thanks again for joining, everyone. We're just going to give everyone another moment here to get into the session, then we'll get started. All right, we'll go ahead and get started here. Welcome to today's webinar, everyone. The topic today is the new release of WIN 911 plus Peer. It's a new integrated software functionality that SmartSights has just released here that allows us to escalate SCADA HMI alarms from an in-plant SCADA system out into our peer issue management system, which allows us to track issues with a lot more granularity and produce notes of knowledge base as we work through those issues. My name is David Nolan. I'm an industry solutions manager here at SmartSights. I'm also joined by today's presenter, Paul Bloodgood, who is our technical solutions sales manager. So again, he's going to be the presenter here today, and I'll pass the mic over to Paul here and then get started.
Thanks, David. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today's session. For today's workshop, we'll start off with a quick overview of Peer and discuss the value that this integration will bring to you and your operation. Then we'll have an overview of the integration and implementation of WIN 911 in Peer. Finally, we'll go through a live demo and then wrap up with questions at the end. And as Dave mentioned earlier, if you do have questions during the presentation, please use the question and answer menu, which is that question mark tab at the top right of your window. So what is Peer? For those of you that may not be very familiar with Peer, Peer is an issue management accelerator. And before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I think it's important to define what an issue is. So when you think about your operation or your process, how would you define an issue? You may think of an issue as a motor that is faulted, or it could be something like a flow rate being out of spec. When we say the word issue in the Peer world, both of those examples fit the criteria for Peer, but it's important to note that an issue doesn't have to come from your SCADA system. An issue can also be something like an oil leak on the floor, or maybe a light needs to be replaced. So with Peer, we're able to capture all of these issues, whether they come from your SCADA system or are created manually. Once an issue comes into Peer, Peer will trigger alerts for responsive action, meaning a person will be assigned a follow-up for whatever issue arises. And from there, that person will need to fill out certain information as they resolve the issue. At the end of the day, Peer is building a knowledge base of corrective actions based on your data. It can be integrated with ERP systems, MES, SCADA systems, and HMI applications. So there are broad integration capabilities with Peer. Peer has its own client that is browser-based. It's designed to adapt to any display size, whether that's a large screen, a laptop, or your phone. Here you see Peer's Broadcast Center, which is something that you could put on a control room TV or some sort of big screen in a meeting conference room. This shows you all the open tickets in Peer and the state that they're in. You'll notice different colors for tickets on the screen. The different colors indicate the different states of a Peer ticket. So some examples you see here are inactivated, acknowledged, work in progress, or request made. You'll also notice that these tickets have a time feature, which tells you how long the ticket has been open. One final call out here is at the top of the tickets, you'll see asset 2 or asset 1. And when we use the word asset in Peer, we're talking about a machine or piece of equipment within your facility. So when you think about your facility, again, these assets could be something like a pump or a motor, for example. In addition to the broadcast center, Peer also has a message center, which is designed for a tablet or a desktop. But notice here that the message center groups the tickets by assets, whereas the broadcast center is grouping everything by time. So the message center is more of an asset focused view. You see the same information on the ticket in both the broadcast center and the message center. So again, you can see how long a ticket's been open, what state it's in, and since everything's color coded, it's very easy to quickly understand what ticket is new, what's been responded to, and what work is in progress. Here we have the mobile view. This is a browser-based view again, and this is how you'd see it on your phone. The first screenshot on the left, you can see what creating a ticket looks like when you click the Create Ticket button in the upper right portion of your phone screen. The second screenshot is showing the message center, which is what we saw on the previous slide. With the mobile view, the message center is pared down in a single scrolling column, just like you'd expect on your phone. And then within the mobile view, this third screenshot here, you have all the different status options available, so you can easily update the ticket status from your phone. And then in the final screenshot, you're seeing the reporting that Peer has available, which we'll get to more here in a second. But the takeaway here is that because all this is browser-based, you can access any feature of Peer from any device, and it will automatically be optimized for that particular display. Finally, you can also integrate this with an HMI where you have a button to launch the Peer client, and then it pops up and you can manage and create tickets straight from your HMI screen. So, we'll just run through this quickly here, but, clicking the Manage Tickets button will take you straight to the Peer dashboard where you can manage your tickets and also, view your message center. Okay, now that we have a better understanding of what Peer is, let's talk about the value that Peer will bring to you as a Win 911 user. When we think about alarms in your system, you tend to have two concepts of an alarm. The first being, is the condition happening? Is the pump still blocked? Is it actually flowing? The other concept that you have is acknowledgement. Has the operator responded to that alarm or not? With Win 911, the alarm comes in as active and not yet acknowledged. Then it ends when the condition returns to normal and the operator has also acknowledged that condition. But what happens between those 2 points in time? Do you know what an operator is doing to resolve the issue? Are they taking any measurements in the field? Are they taking any notes about what they did to resolve the issue? For most people and processes, you probably don't know exactly what's being done to resolve the issue. Maybe you have a rough idea of what was done. Maybe there was a conversation with the operator after the fact, but is that information being stored anywhere so you can prevent that issue from happening again in the future? Or if it does happen again in the future, can you utilize what was done in the past to speed up the resolution process? By combining Win 911 with Peer, now you can track all that information. With Peer, you can see all the different states that we're tracking, like when the alarm comes in, when it was assigned to an engineer to respond to it, when it was acknowledged. You can capture all that information that was just mentioned at each of those stages, like notes the operator was taking or any measurements that they took out in the field. With Peer, all that information gets captured so it can be analyzed later and exported to other systems. You're getting much more detailed tracking and documentation of an issue. It goes beyond just the alarm lifecycle itself. It goes beyond wrench time, if you're familiar with that term from a CMMS or computerized maintenance management system. It combines all this information in one place so you can get a much richer understanding of exactly what happened as an issue was resolved. And it allows you to utilize that information in the future when you're responding to an issue that has happened before. All of this is very valuable information to help you build up your knowledge base for your process and create standard operating procedures. As people are responding to these issues and capturing all this information, again, peers tracking this, and we can analyze all that information to figure out where time is being spent and where productivity is being lost. You can look at ticket resolution times by a specific day, week, or month to see if there's any trends in your process or to see if your process is improving over time. You can look at tickets by area and asset so you can see what type of equipment is having the most problems in your process. You can also look at it by team or department. What does a response effort look like for line one versus line two, for example? Finally, we can look at the information by reason and ticket type. All this information reporting is based on how you set up your system in terms of assets, areas, and organizational structure. All the information is automatically put into these Pareto charts. So again, you're getting this rich reporting and analysis with zero effort on your end. And again, a reminder that all this information can be integrated and exported to other systems like CMMS, ERP, and BI. Okay, now we'll go ahead and discuss how the integration works between Win 911 and Peer. The process starts with Win 911 initiating an alarm notification, just like it does today in your Win 911 application. Win 911 will then pass that information into Peer. From there, the Peer system kicks in to track that issue from start to finish. So from alarm initiation to requesting an engineer to repair it, any notes or observations that person takes along the way, until the issue is finally resolved and closed. So this allows us to create a closed loop between the alarm system and the issue management system. As for the structure of this integration, if we're looking at a Win 911 system today, there's the SCADA HMI system in the plant. When it detects an alarm, it goes out to the Win 911 dispatching system. That dispatching system decides who to route that alarm to and how. Your system might use phone call, email, SMS, or the mobile app. Now that dispatching system can send those alarms to another place, which is the Win 911 peer gateway. Then the peer client will kick in, and that's where people can begin tracking, managing, and responding to that issue. To go into more detail with the implementation of this gateway module, this is not a full scope new release of Win 911. It does not require you to do a complete reinstall or updated install of Win 911. The gateway module can actually be downloaded straight from our website. This is a standalone module that you can install on your Win 911 network. This can be on a separate machine from any other Win 911 software that's already there. It's very lightweight, it's light duty. Again, you're not reinstalling the whole system to add this gateway. It will likely sit in the same network layer, say a DMZ, for example, as your Win 911 mobile hub. And this gateway module is very similar in scope to that mobile hub. Final call out here is that this module is officially supported on Win 911 2024 R2 SP2. So how does it actually work? This gateway works by playing off your existing notification policies. The notification policy corresponds to what we call a notification group in Peer, which we'll see shortly. The gateway also plays off the area coming in from the alarm record or the label that you assign onto the alarm subscription. That area will then be taken along when it gets sent to Peer and associated with the corresponding area in Peer. Once that gateway module is installed where it can reach the Win 911 navigation host, the gateway will automatically pick up on the notification policies that you already have in your Win 911 system. So in this example, right here in this screenshot, we're seeing notification group 1, which matches what we saw on the previous slide. Once I select the notification policy or policies, if you have multiple, that you want to route to peer, you'll then be taken to this part of the gateway module. And this is where you can pick if you want the label or the area from that alarm to become the asset in peer. So again, think about an asset in your plant like a pump. You have one concept of what that pump is in the alarm system, one concept of what the pump is in peer, and this gateway module is the mechanism that says these are the same thing in both those systems. Now we're looking at the peer side. So far, we have set up a notification policy and a specific label with it inside of Win 911. In Peer, this is going to get mapped into notification groups. This is an important concept because when we send a notification out directly from Win 911, again, a person's going to get a text message or a push notification from the app. But when the notification goes into Peer, a person gets notified that an issue has been raised by a text message or email. So that's what this group is associating. We're taking that alarm from Win 911, we're putting it into Peer, and then Peer has everyone's phone number and email, and it knows how to notify them as the ticket status changes. Here's your asset page. As described earlier, the assets represent a machine or a piece of equipment. This page is where you would build out the assets in your facility or process, which allows you to associate an alarm between Win 911 and Peer. So that's it. That's it for the gateway module. Once you have those two concepts mapped, anytime an alarm happens from your SCADA system, it will show in Win 911 and get pushed into Peer automatically. As the alarm state changes within Win 911, the Peer ticket state will automatically change as well. This is a one-way communication, so when an alarm comes in, Win 911 will see the new alarm as active on act, and that translates to the request made state within Peer. When the alarm goes terminal, it translates to a closed state for the ticket. And now we'll go ahead and show all this with a live demo. Give me a second to change screens here. Okay, so we'll begin with a quick overview of Peer, like we did with the slides. We're going to start off with the broadcast center, which again is something that you could put on a control room TV or some sort of big screen in a conference room. This shows you all the open tickets in Peer and the state that they're in. Again, from before, you'll see the different colors for the tickets on the screen, different colors indicating the different states for the Peer ticket. So you can see the screen is moving back and forth. And this is just cycling through all the open tickets in your system. So you can see these inactivated tickets. You can see some requests made. You can see some work in progress. And again, you're seeing how long those tickets have been open. I'm going to move into the message center now. And again, notice here that the message center groups the tickets by asset, whereas the broadcast center is grouping everything by time. So with this being more of an asset focused view, you can easily see all your open tickets for asset 1, asset 2, an HVAC system, whatever your process may be. You see the same information on the ticket in both the broadcast center and the message center. So here you can see how long the ticket's been open, the state, and again, since everything's color coded, it's very easy to see what's new, what's been responded to, and what work is in progress. Next is the reporting center. Here you can take a look at resolution times by day, last week, or month. Right now we're looking at the week to date field. If we go to the previous week, you can see what tickets look like last week. You can look at tickets by how many were closed, how many were open. As we scroll down here, you can look at it by area or asset. In this particular example, we're looking at it by lines. So you can see which line is giving you the most headache. Maybe in your process, if you don't have this data to support, maybe your team, there's a lot of theories out there as to which asset is giving you the most headaches. Now with this application, you have the data to support those theories. Finally, if we just keep moving down here, you can look at the different notification groups. Same concept here with if it's a notification group 1, or maybe the engineering team is getting a lot of tickets heading their way. And then you can look at the reason types as well. In this case, we just have minor equipment repairs. Again, all this information and reporting is based on how you design your system in terms of assets, areas, and organizational structure. And then all this information is automatically put into these Pareto charts, so you get that rich data and analysis with zero effort on your end. Final call out here before we get to actually creating tickets is the transaction summary. So if I navigate back to the message center, And if I click on a ticket here, this will pull up much more detailed information about the issue. So at the top here, you'll see all the different fields, which we'll touch on in a second. But at the bottom, you can see what we call the transaction summary. You might recall this from some of the slides earlier, but this is where the timeline is being built for the life cycle of the issue. So you can see when the issue started. This one started at 8:50 a.m. You can see how long it took to be acknowledged, only took a minute. And any updates that take place will also be listed here through that life cycle of the issue. All right, now we'll go ahead and we'll create a ticket manually. You can do that simply by clicking on this Create Ticket button here at the top. From here, the different ticket formats that you've configured will appear. We'll choose the standard peer ticket. Here you'll see all the fields available for the peer ticket. All these fields are configurable based on your process. In this example, you can see there's a defect image field down at the bottom and a defect file at the bottom as well, but neither are required. Maybe those are two field types that you want required for your process, and that would be something that you'd be able to set up on your end to make them required. For this example, we're just going to stick to the required fields, which is anything with the red asterisks. So we're going to go with area 1 here. For the workstation, we're going to pick asset 1. For the status, let's do request made. And then let's do notification group 1. I'll hit submit, and then we'll automatically be taken back to the message center. So just keep in mind we are looking for a ticket for area 1, asset 1. And right here we see that ticket has come through, request made. I'll just go ahead and click on the bottom here. And just from that transaction summary, you can see this ticket is the one we just created at 9:51 a.m. Okay, now that we've manually created a ticket, let's go ahead and make one automatically. First, I want to show you the Win 911 workspace. This is where you'll see the notification policy from earlier in the slides called Notification Group 1. You'll also see the tag that we're using in this particular live demo. I'm using asset 3 in this example. So when we create this ticket here momentarily, we're going to be looking for asset 3 in Peer. Here is the Peer Gateway module. So this is what you would download from our website. Here you'll see all the notification groups that are in your Win 911 system. For this example, I'm using notification group 1, but you could select multiple. I'm going to hit configure. And then this is where you have the option to choose either the label or the area for your ticket. So this is the piece that's tying, I'm going to use label, and this is the piece that's tying asset 3 label to the correct asset in Peer. I'll go ahead and hit save. And now for my demo system, I have a Kepware system running, and we're going to just manually create an alarm here. So here we have the different tags. I'm going to change the state on pump 1. And when I change the state, if you can see in the background here, the Win 911 control center, once I change the state, that alarm will come into the control center. So give me a second. Okay, there's our alarm in the control center that just came in at 9:53. And then let's go over to the Peer side here as well. I'm going to go back to the message center. And again, we should be seeing something in asset 3. And there we go. There's asset 3. Click into it. Just make sure the timing is correct. And sure enough, at 9:53, this request was made. So let's go back to Win 911 and the control center. I'm going to acknowledge this alarm just to show you, an example here of actually working through the ticket and the different state changes. So let's acknowledge this alarm. Okay. Okay, now our status is active act, and then we'll navigate back to peer. Let me go back to the message center. And here we go. Here's our asset 3. The status has automatically been changed to acknowledged. And I'll click back into it again so you can see that transaction summary. Our initial request came in at 9:53 a.m. A minute later, we acknowledged it. And as we go through this ticket lifecycle, as we're updating the statuses, this transaction summary will automatically be updated with all the different notes and information that you have set up for your system. And let's actually go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to scroll back up, um, and we'll update this status to work in progress. These are the different fields that this particular demo example had. Again, you can change these fields based on your process. In this example, let's say that engineering assistance is required. And then we can type in some notes. Let's say this is a false alarm. Photo eye is broken. Needs to be replaced. In this particular example, we have a field for technician assigned, so you can add in different people's names. Let's go ahead and just select one person here, and then I'll submit the information. And now that status is changed to work in progress. We'll click back into the ticket so we can see that timeline being built one last time. I scroll down here. So in this example, fantastic response time by the team here. We had a ticket come in at 9:53. Within a minute, they acknowledged it, and 3 minutes later, they're already getting after it and getting to work. But here, again, you can see that information that we included within this work in progress field. So we can see, yes, we needed engineering assistance included. You can see the notes that the person put in, and then you can see who's assigned to that task. To close out this ticket, we'll go back into the Kepware system here. And let me pull up the control center in the background as well. So I'm going to return this pump state back to its normal condition. And when I do that in the control center, you should see that alarm disappear here in a second. Okay, there it goes. And then if we go back into the message center, we'll see that that ticket is automatically moved to the closed state. And there we go. There's closed. Let me click back into the ticket one last time. I know I'm showing you the transaction summary quite a bit here, but I just want to show my work and prove to you that how this works. So yeah, there we go. We have the request made, acknowledged, work in progress, and finally closed. Okay, so that's it with the live demo. I know that was quick, but I can't stress enough how easy it is to navigate the systems, and that gateway module is very easy to not only install but configure, since everything's being picked up automatically. Go ahead and navigate back over to our PowerPoint now, and we'll before we get to any questions, as was mentioned earlier, this gateway module can be downloaded straight from our website. So all you need to do is go to our solutions tab within the website, and then select this WIN 911 peer section. And then from there, you'll be able to schedule an additional demo with us or start your free trial. Okay. Dave, I don't know if we had any questions come in from the audience or any other thoughts.
Nice work, Paul. No, it doesn't look like we have any questions so far, but again, if anyone does have any questions here, we'll kind of give people a moment to ask those, and you can do that by using the question mark tab at the top right of your GoToWebinar window. Looks like we have a quiet, quiet audience here today. We'll give people one more moment. But I think you did a great job with the demonstration, and I think it was a really good illustration of how this tool essentially allows us to just capture so much more information about the life cycle of an alarm or an issue that we can get with just Win 911 alone. And it's important to note again that this solution also connects to other data systems, like BI and CMMS, and so it can also effectively act as a pass through to send these SCADA alarms and escalate them up into those other higher level systems as well. Well, it looks like we don't have any questions coming in, unfortunately. So a bit of a quiet audience today. So I guess we can kind of we'll end the session here. I know it is definitely a bit earlier than the planned runtime, but again, I think it just kind of illustrates how easy this solution really is to set up. So once again, if anyone is interested in exploring this any further, just head to our website, smartsights.com, open up the solutions tab and open up the Win 911 Plus peer page. There you can learn more and also, again, schedule a demo or start a free trial. So thanks again, everyone, for attending today's presentation, and everyone enjoy the rest of your day.